Hello from Moted Markets. This is Ahura with the global economic outlook in the week ahead, which is going to be the fourth week of 2025. As always, let's first check what we had last week, and then we can go ahead and see what we will have in the next week, which is one of the most important week of 2025, as we know the new administration is going to start its work in White House. Last week, generally, we had like three pack of the data from three different economies, which they were very important. From the China, we had import, export, GDP, and industrial production numbers. All of them export increased more than 10%, almost 11%. Import increased more than 1%. On the last day of the week, we saw a GDP in the fourth quarter in China increased by 5.4%, much better than 5% expectations and 4.6% printed in a previous quarter. Generally, we can say that right now, China can reach its 5% GDP goal that they set to reach at the first months of 2024. With these data, we can say that the Chinese economy somehow is managing to get back to its life as they started already, especially in the fourth quarter. They amplified so many stimulus, which is right now we can say that they are paying off. In United Kingdom, on the other hand, the data, they were not such a positive data. We had the retail sales numbers, inflation, yeah, a little bit decreased, but the GDP, manufacturing production, industrial production, and retail sales, they were mostly missed expectation. We can say that the British economy is now slightly weaker than what it was expecting, what we were expecting like few months ago. But generally, with these numbers and with these data, with the expectations from the central bank in United Kingdom, with the expectation from the new government, the Labour Party, we are not so much positive about the British economy in 2025. Yeah, later in the United States, we had the inflation numbers. In the United States, a PPI, Producer Price Index, showed almost flat for the core inflation on the monthly scale, and headline inflation increased by 0.2% on the monthly scale. Generally, we can say that the inflation slightly slowing down, especially now that Wednesday's in general, like headline consumer inflation and core inflation, they were also slightly, especially for the core inflation, for the consumer core inflation, increased by 0.2%. After 4 months increasing by 0.3%, now it's increasing slightly slower than previous months, which means on the annual scale, so inflation fell to 3.2% from previous 3.3%. However, the headline consumer inflation increased from 2.7% to 2.9%, and on the monthly scale, it increased by 0.4%. They were in line with expectation, but still, it means that the inflation in the United States increasing much faster than previous months. Generally, the data from United States, so last week, besides the inflation numbers, other data that we had, they were somehow positive. You could say that export, import, even a little bit better. Even the core, even the retail sales, it was better than expected. And generally, we can say that it was less than, sorry, the retail sales was less than expected, but generally, we can say that the data that we had last week, they were somehow the positive, and we can say that the economy in the United States still, compared to the other economies, moving better. On the earnings front, last week we had we know that the banking sector started the earnings, and we had a very good report from especially the banking sectors. Earnings started from Wednesday. The main earnings: J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and BlackRock, Citigroup. They were all beat the expectations. And then later on the Thursday, we had the Taiwan Semiconductor, United Health Group, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and all of them, as I said, the first week reports, they were very positive, and they were very impressive earnings we had. In the week ahead also, we're going to have very nice earnings like Netflix and many other companies. They're going to publish their reports. The 3M, Charles Schwab, and many other companies, they're going to publish their reports. But on the economic calendar, next week, we're going to have not so much important data to watch. Let's start from other countries, and then we're going to go back to the United States, which will be the main focus of us. In China, we're going to have a central bank meeting PBOC meeting on Monday, we don't expect any changes in the interest rates at 3.1% and 3.6% for loan prime rates for 1 year and 5 years. Later from China, we don't have important data to watch, but generally from United Kingdom, we're going to have some important, especially the labor market data. We expect the unemployment rate to stay unchanged at 4.3%. In Canada, we are expecting to see the inflation slightly to increase, especially headline inflation. And then on Thursday, we're going to have on Thursday and Friday, we're going to have important data, especially on Friday from PMI numbers from most developed economies, from manufacturing and the service PMIs. We are slightly positive about the PMI numbers, as these numbers going to publish the related data for December, as it's going to be closer to the new year, more sales, more adventures, and all of them, they're going to have the positive reaction in the economy. So we're expecting to see a little bit better than expected PMI numbers. On Friday, from China also, we're going to have very important data, inflation numbers, which is expected to increase to 3% from 2.7% previously. And also 2 hours later, we're going to have the central banks, actually the central banks meeting, which is 2 days, which is going to start from Thursday. It will end on Friday, and we're going to have the announcement. We expect to see the Bank of Japan to increase the rates from 0.25% to 0.50% by 25 basis points. This hawkish expectation from Bank of Japan will support the BOJ against its crosses, and generally it's time for central bank in Japan to continue the tightening policies, as we know that inflation is already increasing, and at the same time, this gap between the spreads in United States and Japan, it's putting too much pressure on Japanese yen. This pressure on the Japanese yen, which pushed it to multi-year low against US dollar and many other currencies, it's increasing the pressure on the Japanese economy. We know the Japanese imports are already slowing down because it is right now, it's getting much more expensive. So, and when it's getting expensive, it's increasing the inflation as well. As you can see here, the inflation expected to increase to 3%. Yeah, these are the data from out of the US, but in United States, as we know, the Monday, we're gonna have the inauguration of Mr. Trump, new administration gonna start its work, and all focuses will be on the first day orders. We are expecting Mr. Trump to sign about 100 orders, and these orders will be about some tariffs against China, some other countries, also Mexico, also Canada, and also we are expecting to see some new sanctions against Russia, Islamic Republic of Iran, and even the Venezuela. Which will affect the oil and energy market against Russia, because Mr. Trump is trying to put the pressure on Russia and Ukraine at the same time to bring them to talk, to bring down the table about the peace talk in Iran, because of its nuclear activities, and what United States believe that it's not so much friendly activities of Islamic Republic in the Middle East. So they are putting the pressure on Iran with the sanctions to change its behavior in the Middle East, especially against Israel. Generally, these data, they are trying to bring with these pressures and these sanctions, they're trying to bring them on a table for more peace talks. Generally, the data, the orders, the order is going to bring some uncertainty in the market, which probably we're going to have the little bit negative effect on the stock market. We will talk about that later on the chart. These are what's on the economic calendar and generally what we're expecting to see here. Let's start with the chart. Let's go to the chart, and I will talk about the energy market as well, because in the energy market, with the IEA, EIA, and OPEC reports, monthly reports that we had last week, they're going to have so many changes. Let's start with the US dollar. As you can see here in the chart, USD is still moving in a positive I mean, generally the US dollar still is a positive, moving upward, getting encouraged from the Monday's inauguration, Monday's ceremony. We expect both the stock markets and US dollar index to get some support at the beginning of the week, but how it's going to continue is a little bit under questions. We expect to see first some support in the market at the first half of the week, and then in the second half we will probably see some correction in United States dollar index around 107.80, 108, around these levels. Same thing going to happen for the stock markets as well. Stock markets, which is going to be encouraged from the first days in a week. Actually, on the Monday is the holiday, and the Tuesday and Wednesday most probably, and then after Wednesday most probably we're going to have some pressure on the stock markets as these uncertainties and orders with this, following these uncertainties that the new orders will bring to the markets. The SP 500, it has a very important resistance around 6,000. Moving above 6,000 is a little bit unreal at the moment, but it can happen if I mean the more gains could be possible if it can hold itself above 6,000. But falling back under 5,900 can open the doors for much lower and deeper levels. On the gold market, with the stronger US dollar at the first half of the week, we may see some pressure on the gold, but later in the week, with the correction in the US dollar chart, with the pressure on the stock markets, and with the uncertainty in the market generally, we will see more demand for the gold, and most probably gold can continue its upward tendency in continuing the week. On the energy market, oil had some corrections at the last 2 days of the week, but generally, what we can see here, we can say that last week we had a monthly report from EIA, IEA, and OPEC. All of them, they confirmed that the demand in 2024, it was more than earlier expectations, and for 2025 also they increased their demand, while there are some issues about the support as well. I mean, because if United States put the pressure on the Russia and Iran, maybe the oil market can get some uncertainty here, which could be positive for the oil price. Generally, we are a little bit positive, but the oil price above $75. Oil still may see some correction, but still it's positive. WTI and trading above $75 for whole week is more expected. On the cryptocurrency market, same as the stock market, especially the cryptocurrency market, they are the crypto traders and investors, they are so optimistic about Mr. Trump and new administration's decisions and the laws that they're going to have. But that's why it will, especially the first weeks, they have to watch much closely what's going to be to be decided in the government. Generally, if we see more attention from the new administration to the cryptocurrency market, it can encourage the prices. But if we see less attention from the government side, from the to the cryptocurrency market, that can be a little bit tricky for the crypto market. And I mean, it's so much depend right now on the behavior of the Bitcoin behavior and other cryptocurrencies generally. It will directly depend on how new administration gonna make a decision and gonna react against the cryptocurrency market and the new regulations. This is generally what we're expecting for the next week. From the technical point of view, we can say that the 100 to 1,000, if Bitcoin can hold this 101,000, we can expect about much higher, lower levels, but falling bit under 97 and then $94,000 can open the door for much deeper levels. That was generally what we were expecting for the what we are expecting for the week ahead. And if you had any other question, please don't hesitate to write down in the comment section. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Have a good week ahead. Bye bye.